Hey everybody, what is up? Wavejump here, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going ahead and covering something very cool, and that is something known as attribute modifiers. Now you may or may not have heard of these things called attribute modifiers before. Generally just attributes. Thank you for 870 subscribers as always. I should get rid of this chest from last time. And yeah, I don't know, I just completely messed up my flow. But by the way, thank you to Green Liu W for asking about how to do this. Sorry if I completely butchered your username. About 2 days ago, as of recording this video, he or she commented asking about covering attribute modifiers because they were confused. And so I said, sure, I'll cover it. I just can't write it in text, so I'll make it a video. And attribute modifiers are something that you may see a lot in like give commands or summon commands or entity data commands, but never really understand. And that's because they're kind of confusing. But I went ahead and did some research to go and make sure I kind of understood what I was doing. And now in this episode, I'm going to be covering exactly how to use attribute modifiers and attributes. So let's go ahead and get started. So I wanted to go ahead here and actually I could get rid of these guys now. And get started first off with attribute modifiers. So first off, attributes can go ahead and be used in a couple of different ways. Or actually, more to explain first what attributes do. So attributes let you go ahead and modify entities. Now, what does that mean? Well, first off, let's remind ourselves an entity is anything in the world that can be killed, essentially. I guess that's a good way to describe it. You know, players, armor stands, horses, whatever, right? Or even cows. Now, so this first command here gives you a diamond sword, right? This is pretty simple, basic give command syntax. I have videos on this if you don't know how to use give command. But then after all of this, I have this huge string of text, huge amount of text here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it down in the, okay, that doesn't help much. I wish I had a better way to go ahead and show you this text, but you know what, we'll just go through via the command block and I will see how I could go ahead and make this look. Okay, so the command is of course give it p diamond sword 1 0, and then we have this all inside of some curly brackets. Now, inside these curly brackets, we have a thing called attribute modifiers. Capital A, capital M, you cannot get this wrong. It will screw up your entire thing. In fact, you cannot get any part of this wrong or it won't work. Colon, and then you need double square brackets. So these brackets right here, for me, it's to the right of my P key. And then inside those double square brackets, you're going to do a set of curly brackets. Typically, it's just holding shift and making square brackets. Inside these curly brackets, you're going to have a capitalized thing called attribute name, capital A, capital N, colon, quote, generic dot movement speed. Now that's actually, it doesn't have to be generic dot movement speed. So inside of this section here that says generic dot movement speed, you're going to go ahead and put in the attribute that you want. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and read you the names of these attributes right now, but the game doesn't really give them to you anywhere. It's kind of confusing. So generic dot max health, this will go ahead and allow you to set the health of something. Generic dot follow range, so go ahead and set the range for mobs, as to, or in which they'll go ahead and attack players. Generic dot movement speed, this changes movement speed. You'll see that in a little bit. Generic dot attack damage, this will go ahead and change how much damage, say, a sword will do or hostile mobs will do. Generic dot armor, this changes armor defense points. Armor toughness changes armor toughness. Generic dot attack speed changes the speed at which the attack strength regenerates. This is probably something you'll want to go ahead and put on a sword, for example, because it only works on players. And I believe if you were to say set this to 0, you go ahead and basically make PvP like it was 1.8. I haven't tested that one though. If I remember correctly, that's how you do it. Generic dot luck, this affects the results of loot tables. By the way, I will have a link to where you could find all these down in the description below. So you could, for horses only, you could go ahead and change jump strength, which is horse.jump strength. By the way these all work is it's a word dot and then probably 2 words. The first word is always lowercase. The second word starts with an uppercase letter. They always follow kind of this kind of format. It's actually, if you're curious, the second part of it is in what's called lower camel case. The first part doesn't really have to do with it. Next, for zombies, there is a thing called spawn reinforcements. Now this I actually didn't even know about, but it's actually something where if you go ahead and say set it to 1, which is the maximum, it's the chance that a zombie will spawn another zombie when it's attacked. Now the default is 0, meaning there's no chance. So I didn't actually know that until I was going through here. And then if you go ahead and change any name that isn't correct, it might go ahead and crash the game. So, yeah, don't do that. Let's see, there are also, okay, actually, that's just it. So we're going to start with numeric.movement speed. Now, your thing has to be in quotes, and then outside of the quotes, you're going to put a comma. Then you're going to give it a name. So I'm doing capital N, AME, colon, quote, and then the same name as what we had beforehand, which is generic.movement speed. Then I'm telling it the amount of movement speed is going to be 1. So it's only increasing your movement speed at 1. Anyway, so modifiers are something that you could go ahead and change. I'm not going to go ahead and be explaining these in this video because they're pretty confusing. But you can go ahead to go to minecraft.gamepedia.com/attributes or /pound, no, just /attribute and go down to modifiers, and I'll go ahead and tell you how to do it. Modifiers can be completely different. So for example, the random spawn bonus, tool modifiers, drinking speed penalties, there's all sorts of different modifiers that you could change. But yeah. Okay, before I screw something up and tell you the wrong thing, next we're going to move on to this part that says UUID least and UUID most. So UUID least, we'll go ahead and set a UUID for it, and UUID most will also set a UUID for it. Now, what does this mean? Now, it's actually kind of difficult to understand, but essentially what it means is that for every single attribute you have per item or horse or whatever, right, you're going to go ahead and want to have a different unique identifier for it. UUIDs are universal unique identifiers or something like that. I don't remember the actual acronym, but something like that. And so just put in some random numbers for least and most. They cannot have a 0, or they cannot be 0, and they cannot be the same as the other one within the same item. And anyways, operation 0 just tells it to add the add 1 to my movement speed. So if I go ahead and hold this, you'll notice immediately my movement speed increases and I move super fast. So there we go, that's 1. Now say I wanted to make it even faster, which is a terrible idea because movement speed is incredibly crazy. Let's also head to survival here. You notice if I were to go ahead and hold this, it looks the same. And I'm holding shift right now, so it's incredibly difficult to control. But yeah, it's essentially impossible to control because you move so fast. You notice here, yeah, I just tap the W button and I go flying off. Not the best idea to set movement speed higher than even 1. And I don't mean to get rid of those. We'll use those later. You'll see why. Okay. Okay, next up. We're going to go ahead and be covering how to use multiple of these in a single command. So, for example, I was giving myself a diamond sword, right? I'm going to add attribute modifiers, same thing as before. Again, if you want to see, example commands, link will be in the description to a Minecraft Gamepedia page on attributes, which goes ahead and covers some examples. Only 3 examples, but whatever. They cover it well enough. And so what you do is you would say do attribute name, generic movement speed, whatever. This is the same thing as before, essentially. Then what I go ahead and did is after this curly bracket ends, I do comma, and then I do another open curly bracket and another closed curly bracket. And inside of that, we're going to put all the information, basically all the same information as before, but with different modifier. So for example, instead of generic.movement speed, I actually have generic.max health here. And there we go. So amount is 2, whatever. And if I were to go ahead and grab this item now, you'll notice it'll make me faster, but also, if I go ahead and clear chat here, you can see I have an extra heart. Now, say I wanted to go ahead and make it so that it gives me 2 extra hearts. Well, the thing is, amount is 2 right now, and what that means is it adds 2 half hearts to me. So, if I want to go ahead and add an extra single heart, I'm just going to change it to 4. And if I go ahead and clear that chat, there we go. You'll notice I can now have up to 2 extra hearts. Technically, oops. Anyways, so yeah, if you ever see like health is 20 or whatever, that's because technically we would think of health being 10 hearts, but it's actually 20 half hearts. That's how it counts it. So next off here, let's go ahead here and summon a horse. And I'm going to go ahead and tame this horse here. And I don't know, again, why I lost my golden carrots. I don't know what I did with them. I probably accidentally cleared my inventory or something. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to the point where we could ride this horse and have it like us. Grab a saddle and everything. And I'm going to show you something pretty dang interesting. So let's go ahead here. Just keep getting onto it until it likes me. Please like me. And then once it likes us, we're going to go ahead and add an attribute modifier to it because we want our horse to be the fastest horse in the land, right? Okay, there we go. Perfect. So let me go ahead up here, and I'm going to press this button here, and I'll show you what the command is in just a second. But when I press this button, we should notice a little bit of a change in the fluidity of our horse. Take a look at this. We just fly across, and oh no, there goes the horse. But essentially, what I was trying to show there is you could go ahead and add attribute modifiers to entities directly without doing it via say items, except for players. But you can't edit the entity data of players. But if I were to say hit this horse, I know it's cruel. It'll go ahead and go running around super fast because I changed its movement speed, which is actually hilarious to watch. There we go. Sorry, I have to get rid of it for now. But you notice what the command was here was we went ahead and did entity data at e type equals horse, and then we go ahead and add some entity data. And I have a video on entity data, and if you haven't seen that, it would be helpful to know. But if I were to go ahead and take a look at all the attributes for this horse, and I need to resummon in the horse. Right, so if I were to test for the horse, there's nothing there. Let me summon a horse so we can go ahead and see what the attributes are. You'll notice at the very beginning, we have this whole section called attributes. Kind of similar to something you might remember. So, attributes are a much more direct way to change attributes of things instead of using attribute modifiers. Again, you can't do this on players, but you could do this on most entities. So what you could go ahead and do, for example, is you could look at this and you could say, oh, you know, inside of this attributes thing, by the way, the format's the same as attribute modifiers essentially, but or at least in terms of brackets, but the inside are slightly different. Say, for example, I were to want to change, I don't know, horse jump strength, right? So what I would do is entity data at e type equals horse. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go attributes, and then I'm going to go square brackets, curly brackets, and I'm going to go base colon. And you'll notice if I were to look for jump strength, you'll notice it's usually 0, or at least for this horse specifically, it's 0.82297 something. I'm going to set that to 2. And I'm going to do a comma name, colon quote, horse dot jump strength. And if I did that correctly, I'm pretty sure I did, you'll notice, and I actually need to tame this horse again because I'm really great at this. Don't worry about it. I didn't really bother summoning a horse that's already tamed to me because, I don't know, reasons. If I just get this horse to like me finally, which will take a little bit. There we go. Let's grab a saddle. And mount this horse. You'll notice when I jump, I could jump super high. Now, this will damage the horse a bit because we didn't change his max health, but let's say we want to change his max health, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to change jump strength to max health. And let's change the base to be like, I don't know, 30. And actually 30 is, I think, way past the maximum for horses. Let's see here, if I were to change this to, I don't know, 5 or something. Actually, let me take a look at what the maximum is for horses, if it'll tell me. Let's see, actually. Yeah, I don't, oh, the default is 20, right? So actually, let's go ahead here and do like 30.0. And let me just double check also that I'm doing this right. Attribute modifiers. Okay, also something interesting to note is that if you go ahead and change one modifier, it'll get rid of the other modifiers, possibly. So I'm going to grab this jump strength thing here, right? And I'm going to add that in addition to its max health. Now, I don't know if this max health thing will even work because changing max health often doesn't actually work directly. But there we go. So you notice I can go ahead and jump high, and there we go. Yeah, max health didn't really do anything. But you'll notice, right, you could do some pretty crazy stuff when it comes to attribute modifiers. Now, if I, for example, want to change the horse jump strength to 5, actually, maybe I should look at the maximum for jump strength. And let's set it to the maximum. Oh, the maximum is 2. Okay, that is a shame. Let's change the base to 2 then. I think that's what we had on before, actually. Yeah, it was base 2. Anyways, yeah, the base is 2, meaning the maximum is 2 for horses, but it's still incredibly cool, right? So you could go ahead and change any entity pretty much by changing its attribute modifiers. Anyways, I don't want to drag this on for too long and lose all of you viewers, because I have a feeling I'm probably boring all of you by this point in my antics. So, hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already. Consider supporting me on Patreon, like my awesome patrons, Mete, Noir, and Shatter. If you go to patreon.com/Wavejump, you could do so. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh god, bye. Yeah, that's not how you stop recording.